Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this fully responsive landing page in Navbar in React. This is what we're going to be building. It's kind of like a data science website here. As you can see, as we get past the breakpoint, our screen changes along with our nav menu at the top and shows our hamburger icon. So this is what we're going to be building. Let's get started. Okay, you guys, I've just opened VS Code, and to get started, I'm going to press the Control backtick button. And that is going to open up the terminal here in VS Code. And I'm going to, first off, I'm going to change the directory to the desktop. And we're going to install our React app. So type npx create-react-app. And you can either type a period to install it in the current directory, but we're going to create a folder. So we're going to type, I'm just going to call this Navbar tutorial, hit enter. And this will only take a few minutes, you guys. Okay, we are ready to go here. So I'm just going to grab this folder and drag it over here that we just created. All right, don't need that. And what we're going to do, I'm going to press the Control backtick button to open this terminal back up. And we're going to use a just one package here. Under package.json, you can see our list of packages or dependencies. And what we're going to install is the React icons library. So we're just going to type npm I react icons -- save. It'll only take a moment. We should see it install right around this area here. And there it is. Okay, so, and also we can go ahead and start our development server by typing npm start. Just takes a moment. We can close this. All right, and here we go. So to get started, let's clean up a few files. I'm just going to delete some things that we won't be using. The app.css, this app.test, logo, report web vitals, and setup test. We're not going to be using any of those in today's video, so let's delete those. It's going to give us some errors here. React is real good about giving errors and kind of telling you wherever you messed up. So let's go into our index.js, and we can delete this. We can delete this. And in our app.js, we can remove these and just type import React from React. And then down here, we don't need any of these. Matter of fact, we can actually delete the div here. And we're going to write, you can say fragment, you can use fragment, or also if you do not want to use a div, you can also just leave it empty and just use the little brackets. And that's what we're going to do today. So let's refresh. And let's just put an H1 here just to make sure we're working. Navbar. Okay, so everything is working properly. Let's delete that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a components folder under our source folder. And then also let's create an images folder. Really, I'm just going to put one image in here. It's our logo. I already have just a quick logo that I made in on Canva. So it's a real great online program that you can use for free. And you can make real easy designs in there. So really great alternative if you don't want to learn Photoshop. So in here, let's go ahead in our components folder. We can close that. In our components folder, let's create a couple components, our navbar.js, and also let's create navbar.css. Okay, so what we're going to do, we can delete this. Let's go ahead. I'm going to add some global styling here. I'm just going to copy over a few things here. We're going to delete that. First, I'm going to do, say box sizing, border box, do margin 0 and also padding 0. And let's see here. Let's do UL, get rid of that list style type. We want to set to none. And also a text decoration none. Okay. Let's also, we're going to set a, let's do the body. Body, we'll say color 3 and say line height of 1.5. And I'm going to add in, we're going to use CSS variables for some coloring. So what we're going to do for variables, we type root. And then in here, I already have some colors I've already predefined. So basically to use CSS variables, you just type --, you name your color, and then you just use the hex code as normal. So I'm going to add one more down here. use a primary color for a span that we're going to be working with. And this is how you would use it. Var, parentheses, dash, dash, then the name of the color. So anything that we give the class of primary color will be this primary color here, the 6948FF. Okay, so also, let's go ahead and refresh this, make sure everything's working. Okay, I'm going to grab fonts, and for that, I'm going to go to fonts.google.com, and let's see, let's just use that Montserrat. It's a pretty common font, looks nice. And you can link it into your HTML file. I'm going to do the import in CSS. So what we're going to do, I'm going to copy this, come over here. And you can skip over this part, guys, if you're like, this is for the, super beginners. So I copied that as well. And we'll close this back down. And we'll put it in the body here. There we go. Okay, so let's go into our navbar. Or while we're at it, let's go ahead and import this, because I always end up forgetting. Navbar from components / navbar, and we'll use it right here. So inside here, we're going to create our functional component here. So to type this, I'm not going to use any shortcuts in today's video. I'm just going to type it out manually. So import React from React. And let's import our style sheet. Import and is navbar.css. In here, we're going to do a functional component called navbar. And we're going to make it an arrow function. Inside, we need to return. And this is going to be our div. And let's just make sure everything is working. And we need to export it at the bottom. Okay. There we go. So that right there is rendering inside our app.js and our navbar component. So let's get started with our JSX. I'm going to start out with giving this a class name, and it's just going to be navbar. Whoops. Navbar. Okay. And then in here, let's do our logo first. So a div of the class name logo. And we're going to use this image here I pulled over. So let's import that at the top. This is how we can import pictures in React. Import, we can call it whatever we like. I'm going to call it a logo because it is our logo. Import logo from, and we're going outside the current directory into the images, and we're using logo.png. So just like you would use in normal HTML, it's very similar. Image, source. Instead of parentheses, we're going to use curly brackets, and we're just going to call it whatever we called at the top, logo. And let's give it an alt tag. If not, React likes to bitch at you for that. There we go. So it should appear quite large. We need to scale it down. We'll do that in just a moment. Outside of the div logo, but inside of the navbar, let's create a unordered list with a class name of nav menu. And in here, we'll do some list items with a class name of nav item. And we'll also do an a tag here. And we're just going to go home. We'll say home, and let's copy these down. This is just a simple landing page, so none of these will be active. I may do that in a future video. So we'll have an about, frequently asked questions page, and also a contact page. So looking good. Let's go ahead and add our hamburger menu. So we're going to do that right here with a div, class name, and of course, hamburger. And this is where we're going to use a React icon. We're going to use FA bars. So FA bars, there we go. And we need to import it at the top. So to use React icons, we type import, and we're going to use curly brackets, and we just list off the icons we'll be using. FA bars, comma, we're also going to use FA times. This is what we're going to use to close our menu. And from React icons, and don't forget to do /FA, otherwise you'll get some errors. So there is our hamburger menu. Let's go ahead and do some styling real quick. We can close that. So for our styling, let's see navbar. Let's give it a width of 100%, a height of 100 pixels. We're going to display, flex, also justify content, space between, and align items to the center. We'll give it a padding of padding of 1 rem. Okay, refresh that there. Okay, let's fix this image. That's really annoying. So navbar logo, and we'll give it a width of, let's see, 80 pixels. Let's see how that looks. Refresh. Or you know what? Let's use image. There we go. Okay, starting to look okay. So to next off, let's go ahead and style our, let's do our nav menu here. That'll be a quick one. Our nav menu, we need to display as flex so they sit horizontally. And our nav item, let's give it a padding of 1 rem. All right. Everything is looking fine here. Let's expand this. There we go. So space between kind of spaces them all out evenly in Flexbox, which is fine, but we need to add some media queries because we don't want this hamburger to appear when we're past our breakpoint in pixels. And then of course, when we shrink our page down, we want the nav menu to disappear. So let's do our media queries. Media screen, and let's make it a max width, max width of 940 pixels. And in here, we want our, nav menu to, we'll say position, let's position this first. Position absolute, we'll say left, we'll say negative 100%. This will slide it off the page. So let's make sure we're working. There we go. And this hamburger menu, we want to display none. And then in the media query, we want the hamburger to display flex. That should work nicely. So let's make sure everything is working. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so what I want to do, let's go ahead and give it some background color up here too. And so, like I said, we're using the CSS variables. So we're just going to say background, and we're going to say variable, parentheses, dash, dash. And I think we're using dark gray is what I used. Let me see. Yeah, perfect. Let's give this a color though. Also, we can make that a little bit bigger. So how we do that in React Icons, going to type size, and let's try 30. It's a little bit bigger. Perfect. And we'll give it some styling here. So style, parentheses, curly bracket, and we're going to give it a color. We have to put this in parentheses. Let's try that. Okay, perfect. Of course, that does not work yet, but starting to look better. Okay. So let's go back into our styling here. Let's go ahead and style our dropdown. So for now, I'm going to put this at 0 so we can actually see what we're doing. And we want to display this as a flex direction as a column because we want them to align vertically in our nav menu. And we want to say justify content to the center. I'm going to give this background color, and this is the background color of our nav menu. And let's use the same dark gray with a width of 100% of the screen. Put that on that there. We want it to take up the entire screen. Text align, center, and we'll give it a nice transition of 0.4. So let's refresh. Okay, starting to, looks kind of funny there. We need to fix a few things here. So let's go ahead and let's try this actually. Not absolute, but fixed. Give it a top. Let's go in here, say top 100 pixels, because that is where our header ends here. Okay, let's add a few more things here. Let's take care of the color of our links here. So let's go back into our index.css, and we'll just add it right here with a color. Let's use our variable, and let's use this white, which is actually kind of a very light gray. So, okay, perfect. That was bugging me there. So let's go back in and let's take care of our nav items on the mobile menu with a nav item, and let's give it a margin of 1.5 rem. Make it a little bit bigger with a font size of 1.8 rem, and let's do justify content to the center. How's that look? Okay, that's looking a little bit better there. Okay, so let's give it an active class. So we're going to go ahead and hide this off the screen. Negative 100%. Whoop, $sign. And give this a nav menu active. We're going to say left 0. So whenever we click this, it's going to move our menu back onto the screen. So should be hiding it now. Everything is looking good. Let's go ahead and work on our nav bar. So the way we are going to do this is we're going to use a hook in React. We're going to use the useState hook. So first off, let's put a comma there, and we're going to import it at the top. useState. And for state, we're going to manage it here. Const. And we're going to have some brackets. It's going to take two values, click and set click. You can call it whatever you like. That's just what I'm calling it. And then useState is going to take a Boolean value, which we're going to say false. And next down here, we're going to have a function, a const. You can call this, again, whatever you'd like. I'm going to call it handle click. Pretty standard. And then narrow function. Let's set click. I'm going to say if not clicked. There we go. So let's add in our little close button here. So what we're going to do here, let's kind of start over here. We're going to say when clicked, we're going to display this here, our FA times. We need to put this in parentheses here. There we go. Delete that. And let's give it the same. We can just copy this here. Give it the same size. There we go. Okay, and so when clicked, it's going to display the FA times. Otherwise, we'll copy this. Let's cut that. Otherwise, and we're going to have parentheses, we're going to display the FA bars. So, we have to put our little event here. So just outside of here, I say on click event equals handle click. There we go. Oh, got to put that on the back side here. There we go. Let's save that. And it should be working. There we go. Perfect. Of course, now we need to add in our active class here. And the way we're going to do that is very similar to down here. In fact, we can go ahead and delete that. We're just going to start over. And we're going to say, when clicked, show nav menu active. Else, just show the nav menu. And that should be all we need to do. There we go. Perfect. That is it, you guys. So let's go ahead and add a little landing page here, or finish off our landing page, our hero, just to make it a little bit more appealing. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to add another component. In the component folder, let's create our hero.js. And let's type this out. Actually, we'll also create our style sheet. So hero.css. And close that. In here, let's import React from React. Let's do our style sheet, import, and style.css, and down here, const hero to be an arrow function. And we have to return our div. And let's put this in here so we can see, make sure it's working. We have to export it. And let's use it. Import it at the top. In the components folder. Hero. Whoop. Cannot type. There we go. So it should say hero down here. Oh, it's giving me an error. What's going on here? Can't resolve style. Oh, I called it style.css instead of hero.css. That should fix it. There we go. Sometimes you get that error and you just need to refresh it. So let's go. Everything looks properly as it should. Delete that. And for our hero, we're going to also use some React icons. So import, and then in the curly brackets, we're going to use, these are a few icons I've already picked out. So database, asterisk, GitHub, from React icons. And again, don't forget /FA. So let's get started with our hero. We're going to give this a class name of hero. We're going to do a container in here. We'll just call it container. And so another div, class name of content. Inside the content, we're going to have a class name. It's going to be column 1. So the way I laid it out is we're going to have a container that surrounds the entire content. And we're going to have this content on the left side with a column 1 and a column 2. We're going to be using Flex or maybe Grid. I'm not sure yet. So in here, let's do an H1. I'm going to say data to enrich your. Next, I'm going to put inside of a span. There's also an H1. The span, we're going to give a class name of primary color. Remember, we defined this in our index.css. And in there, we're going to say online business. So this should be that nice purple color. There we go. Okay, so right under here, we're going to do a p tag. And in our p tag, I have about 20 characters, just the lorem ipsum text. I'm just going to paste in here, like so. Perfect. And then under this div, we're going to add another div with a class name of used by. And we're going to add a p tag, say used by. Into this, we're going to have another div with a class name of icons. Inside our icons, we're going to put these in a span, and I'll show you why. We're going to use the FA database. And inside the span here, I'm going to name these special companies I just came up with. We can copy that down and change these. AI and Accusoft, and I just called that Accusoft. Okay, so that is going to be our first little block there. We haven't done any styling yet, so it looks kind of messy. So underneath the, let's see here, we're going to have underneath this content, we're going to have column 2, or let's see, let's do underneath the column 1. So this one here, right underneath here. Let's do our, let's see, column 2. Make sure this is correct. Content, yes. Okay, this got all messed up here. What we need to do is remove that and put it down here. I'm just going to clean that up a bit. Whoops. There we go. So this should be our column 1. And right under here, let's create our next div with the class name of column 2. And this is going to be the right side of our page. And let's finish this right here. This is going to be our form. So let's give it a class name of form layout. And then also another div with a class name of form container. Inside the form container, we're going to have a p tag with a class name of sign in text. And in here, we're going to say sign in with, and then just leave that blank for now. Let's go ahead and do our social logins here. Let's do underneath here. Let's say, div with a class name. Let's say social login. And here we're going to have more span. And we're going to have a Facebook. Let's do FA Facebook. That's correct. And we're going to give it a size of, put this in here, 20. We need to close this off. So let's go ahead and copy that down to save some time. And this one is going to be Twitter, and the last one, GitHub. Twitter Square. All right, so things are starting to come together here. We still have a little bit more to do. So underneath here, underneath the social login, okay, underneath the social login, we're going to do another div with a class name of divider. And we're going to give it a p tag and also a span. Say login with social, or we're going to have a place for them to log in below. Let's do our form. Form action. There we go. And in here, I'm going to scroll down so we can see. Let's do an input type of text with a placeholder of name. I'm going to copy this down so we can do email. And then also password. This form is not going to be functional, so I don't mind. I'm just going to leave it as it is, as the text right there, because it won't matter anyways. And then let's have a button that says create your account. And then underneath this div right here, div with a class name, I'm just going to say form footer. And in here, we're going to have a p tag. And this is going to say by signing up, you agree to our, and then here I'm going to use some spans so we can change the color. Span, class name, the primary color that we defined in our index.css. There we go. Terms, data, policy, and outside of this. And one more time, we'll do our span. Let's say cookies, policy, and our little period outside. So it is the normal color. Okay, so I think that is about it for our JSX here. Let's go ahead and give it some styling and make it look nice. Let's go into our hero.css and let's start off. Give this a width of 100% and a height in this video, 100 viewport heights. And we're going to put it the same color as our nav bar here. So it's a variable dark gray, dark gray. Let's make sure, there we go. We'll fix all that. And let's do our container. Max width, let's do 1240 pixels. Padding 0 on the top and bottom, and then 1 rem on the left and right. Let's say margin auto, so it should bring everything into the middle. There it goes in that box here. So let's do the content div. So hero content. Let's use grid display grid template. Whoop. Say grid template columns, and we're going to say repeat 2 1 1 comma 1 fractions, and let's do our column 1. We're going to give it some padding of 1 rem, 1 rem, 1 rem, 0, height of 70 viewport height. We're going to display this in here as a flex, and flex direction column, justify content to the center. Give us some more room here. Let's do our H1 inside the column 1. So column 1, H1, give it a font size of 3 rem, a font weight of 700. Oops, I just kind of jacked everything up here. Whoop, there we go. And okay, got the font weight at 700. Let's give it a color variable white, which is actually that just light gray. Okay. Column 1, let's do our p tag. And for our p tag, do a font size of, let's say 1 rem. Color variable white. Line height, we'll drop it down just a little bit to 1.4. Margin to the top of 1.2 rem. Okay, so let's do our span as well, and I think that should be it for our column 1. There we go. We'll have to do some media queries too, so it displays nicely on mobile devices. So column 1, and let's do icons, and then or actually we forgot our use by. So use by B, and let's give this a slightly darker color. We'll do var. Let's do our light gray, and we'll do let's do font size of 0.7 rem. Make it a little bit smaller, and margin. Margin 2 rem on the top, 2 rem on the right, 1 rem on the bottom, and then 1 rem on the left. So yeah, we can read that. That's good enough. That'll be fine. So let's go ahead and do our right side here, which make it a little bit bigger. Whoops. Can't grab onto that thing. Looks fine. Let's do our form in column 2. So for column 2, let's start out. Get some room here. You guys see this okay? Here, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. It might be easier for you guys to read. So column 2, sorry, I should have done that at the beginning of the video. My apologies. Let's give it a padding, 1 rem. Height of, let's do 70 pH, just like the other side. And display by flex with a flex direction of column. Justify content to the center, and a font size of, let's do 0.8 rem, just under 1. So column 2, let's do some p tags to give it our color, and let's do just normal gray. Let's do our form layout now, our layout of the form. Form layout Let me say width, let's do 400 pixels. Margin, why did I keep doing that? Margin, auto, background color. Let's do the gray. Call it white, but it's light gray there. Give it a little border radius as well. Just barely 6 pixels. All right, so looks all right there. We'll do form container. Put by rim on the top and bottom, 2 rim on the left and right. And let's do our sign in text. Margin, say margin bottom only. Let's do 10 pixels. After this, we'll go ahead and style our social login spans. So social login, let's give it a background, whoop, not background attachment. Just background will be fine. Variable, we'll use our light gray there. Perfect. And then let's do padding. I always forget this. For the padding, we'll do 16 pixels, 45 pixels, 6 pixels, and 45 pixels on the left. And we'll give it a little border, 1 pixel, solid, and we can use our variable here as well. So border radius, there I go again. See how it's looking? There we go. It's coming together there. We still need to style some more on there though. So let's do our divider. Or P tag actually there. Give it a width of 100%. Text align to the center. We'll give it a border bottom of 1 pixel. Solid, and we'll use light gray. A line height of, let's do, we can use EM here, be a little bit different. Margin, 2 rem, 0. And let's do 2 rem. Okay, so still need to do a few more things. We need to do our span, so I'm going to copy that. Just to save a little bit of time. And let's do a background of, let's see, our white. And give it some padding. 0 and 10 pixels on the left and right. Let's move on to our form. Starting to look a little bit nicer now once we complete this form. Form, input. We want to display not inline, but block with 100%, 1.2 rem on the top and bottom, 0 left and right. We'll give it about a 0.5 rem there. And let's do border of 1 pixel, solid. Let's do our light gray. Background. Let's just do white, so it's the same as form background, and a border radius of 4 pixels. Okay, and let's do our form footer over here. Just at the very bottom with our privacy policy. So form footer is what we called it. And let's give it a border on top. And that's going to be 1 pixel, solid, very gray, and a background of, and keep freaking doing this. Okay. Background of variable white, and border, see, border bottom. Let's do the border bottom right. radius. Okay. 8 pixels. Let's copy that down. Do bottom left. A few more things. RP tag. 1.5 rem. And 2 rem on the left and right. And we'll just finish up our span here. P tag. Get a font weight. Let's do 500. So that should look a little bit nicer. Ooh, we got to do our button. Forgot about the button. Let's throw that in down here. Button. We're going to give it a width of 100%. Padding, 8 pixels, top and bottom, 0 left and right. Border radius, 4 pixels. And let's give it a border of 1 pixel. Solid, variable, prime. Let's do primary. Primary, there we go. And background. Let's see. Variable, we'll do primary, so it's the same. And the color, variable, white. Starting to look better there. Let's see how it looks. I think we just need to do the media queries. Yeah, well, that looks kind of funky. We could brighten that up just a little bit. Okay, so yeah, that looks good. Let's get the hover effect here. I hope. Oh, no, we didn't do the hover. Let's do that. So button, hover, and we're just gonna do, let's see, background color, and we'll just change it to the secondary color. Secondary. And we'll do the border as well. Refresh. There we go. So of course it looks quite terrible on mobile. So let's go ahead and do some media queries for our hero component here. So at media, whoops, media screen, and a max width of, what do we do? 940, I think. We're gonna keep it the same. So 940. Okay, let's do our hero. Let's say height. Let's keep it at auto. Width of 100%. And let's change our hero container to padding 0 on the top and bottom, 1 on the left and right. And hero content. Let's do, we wanted to stack on top of each other instead of 2. So we'll just say grid template, template columns, and we're just going to say 1. That should fix it pretty well. Hero, what's going on here? Grid template columns. Let's see here. Well, we're going to hide this. So yeah, we're just going to hide that because we don't need that to, and that's just, we're just going to hide column 2 just completely, sorry. There we go. Let's, oh, no wonder. Duh. Okay, there we go. Oh, that looks kind of funky. Let's finish our styling here. So grid complement. Let's do our column 1. Grid of a height of 90 pH. Whoops. And padding. We'll give it just a little bit of padding. Let's say 0.2 rem. And a max width of 100%. And let's make this, let's change that a little bit. So column, we'll do hero, H1, font size, and let's do 2.6 or, okay, 2 rem. It's pretty small. Let's say 2.5 rem. There we go. So there we have it, you guys. I think that's pretty well completed. If we make it a little bit bigger, our form shows, and then at the 940 breakpoint, it changes to just a one fractional grid here, and our nav menu works as it should. So there you go, you guys. You know, you can do a lot more styling to this to make it a lot nicer than I have. This is just a basic example showing you how to use some functional components and responsive navbar in the React library. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I would be happy to hear from you. If you got anything out of the video, if you liked it, if you learned something, please like it and consider subscribing to my channel. I'll be pumping out some more videos on React and other tutorials just like this one in the near future. Thanks for watching, guys.